To say the Metal Gear Solid series of video games is a popular series would be an understatement to say the least. Since we're doing Metal Gear Month, I'm going to take it back to where it all started for Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear was developed and first published by Konami in 1987 for the MSX2 home computer. It was well received critically and publicly, scoring 91% in GameSpot's aggregate. The game's premise revolves around a Special Forces operative codenamed Solid Snake, who goes into a one-man sneaking mission to the hostile nation of Outer Heaven to destroy the Metal Gear, a bipedal walking tank capable of launching nuclear missiles from anywhere in the world. Most of the subsequent games in the series follow the same premise, often changing the characters, locations, and weapons. Originally released for the MSX2 in Japan and Europe, the game was later ported to the Nintendo Entertainment System during the same year, although with many significant changes made to the game. This was followed with ports to various home computers, such as the IBM PC and Commodore 64. It was also ported to mobile phones in 2004 and for the PS2 in 2005, with several enhancements and changes, such as typo corrections and some grammatical changes. Its success led to the creation of two separately produced sequels. The first one, being Snake's Revenge, was produced specifically for the Western market for the NES, and the other, being Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, was the canonical sequel developed by the original game designer and released in Japan for the MSX2 in response to the former's creation. The latter was followed by a successful series of sequels and spin-offs. The first Metal Gear Solid video game was released for the PlayStation and Microsoft Windows back in the late 90s, 1998 in Japan and North America, and 1999 in Europe to be exact. This is the PlayStation version, with the Microsoft Windows edition being released in the year 2000 in both North America and Europe. It was a stealth action video game developed by Konami Computer Entertainment Japan and first published by Konami in 1998 for the PlayStation video game console. It was very well received by the public, selling more than 6 million copies and scoring an average of 94 out of 100 in reviews. This one had the word Solid added at the end of it, along with the subtitle Tactical Espionage Action, a subtitle that would live on to this day. Metal Gear Solid's story centers on Solid Snake, a retired soldier who infiltrates a nuclear weapons disposal facility to neutralize the terrorist threat from Foxhound, a renegade special forces unit. He attempts to liberate their two hostages, the head of DARPA and the president of a major arms manufacturer, and stops the terrorists from launching a nuclear strike. Snake also confronts and defeats members of Foxhound. The commercial success of the title prompted Metal Gear Solid to be enhanced and re-released on PlayStation and Windows PC under the name Metal Gear Solid Integral, a remake. Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snakes was later released on the Nintendo GameCube. The game has also spawned sequels and spin-offs. A PS2 sequel, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty, was followed by two prequels, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater and Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops on the PS2 and PSP respectively. Game Boy Color spin-off Ghost Babel was joined by Metal Gear Acid and Metal Gear Acid 2, both on the PSP. So now let's talk about the main characters of Metal Gear games. Solid Snake is the predominant protagonist of the Metal Gear series. Introduced to the 1987 video game Metal Gear and created by series creator Hideo Kojima, Solid Snake is a combination spy, special operations agent, and missionary who works for Foxhound, a fictional black ops and espionage unit, and philanthropy in later games. He's repeatedly tasked with disarming and destroying the latest incarnation of Metal Gear, a bipedal nuclear weapon-armed mecha. He is voiced in the Japanese and English language releases of the games by Seiko Akio Atsuka and actor-screenwriter David Hayter, respectively. In each game with which he is the protagonist, Solid Snake must act alone, supported via radio by commanding officers to specialists. He enters armed only with his wits, his two-way radio, which is the codec in later games, binoculars, and a pack of cigarettes, and must acquire all additional equipment such as weapons, rations, or a signature cardboard box disguise on site. Now, I always thought this was kind of weird. I mean, who the fuck would send one of their agents down to enemy territory without a means of self-defense? Well, now you know about the general storied history of the Metal Gear franchise. Tune in next time and we'll take a look at some of the older games. Stay tuned because Metal Gear Month is just getting started.